Awesome. We're live. Again, we're going to get this into a couple groups. If you guys are watching this, if you're looking for cold callers in any industry, go to callmagicians.com and see how we can help scale your business. All right, Dan, let me get this into a couple groups. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We had some technical issues for whatever reason. We'll get this in Steve-O's group. Where'd it go? What have you been doing today, Dan? What does your day-to-day look like?
Just a little before this, I just got a new deal under contract with a creative finance partner. I just formed that new relationship here, and we just formed that last week, and we signed 3 deals already from that.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your average price point over there? And what area are you in?
So I'm in Rochester, New York. It's
North, south?
It's upstate New York, so all the way up. It's right near Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
It's all the way up. So it's like 6-hour drive from New York City. So pretty far up.
Oh, that's really far.
Yeah.
Do you know Greg Helbeck?
No.
My friend Greg is from up there. He's still a wholesale somewhere up there. I think
Okay.
wholesale in San Diego.
Nice.
Just a couple more.
Yeah. So our like a first time home buyer house is in like the 130 to 150 range.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of low for New York, no? Or is only New York City that high?
Around New York City, it's really high. Yeah. Up here, it's a lot lower. Yeah. It's like a totally different state up here.
Okay, man, let's get going. If you guys are just coming in, leave comments. Let us know where you're from. This is my friend Dan BRAULT and business partner. He's a badass who overcame some insane stuff. I just want to start off, man. Tell us how you got into real estate leading up to what happened that kind of put you in the hole, and then how you got out of it.
Yeah, man. So I started in real estate about 5 years ago. I was working full time in the medical device industry, and just after a few different jobs, I just knew I had to work for myself. Started doing some flips and rentals on the side just while I was working full time, and sort of just got addicted from there. And for me, I started really also because I didn't like the options for investing in the stock market and retirement investing. So I want to start building something that I could control and had just better margins. After that, I started interviewing every investor I knew in the area. I would always ask, once I was done with one interview, I would ask who else I should talk to that they knew. I read every book I could get my hands on. I got my real estate license for the education of it, and so I could save the commission when I bought and sold. And then after about 2 years of that, it was going well enough, I decided to quit my job and go full-time in real estate.
And so you're doing medical devices, but you make really good money in medical devices.
Yeah. They were good jobs. Yeah.
Right. They're like really good jobs.
Yeah, they're really good jobs.
To do it.
Yeah. I mean, they're 6-figure jobs for sure. Guaranteed.
I heard the hours are miserable though. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Depends what kind of field you're in, but yeah, I mean, we were in surgeries. So yeah, I mean, surgeries, they'll start at 7 a.m. And so you have to be there at least 2 hours beforehand. Those can go, all day long. And so, yeah, they're long days for sure, but you get compensated for it.
That's great. And so you have to be there the whole time, no matter what. And then you're there just to fix anything that goes wrong with the device.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're there to make sure that they know how to use your devices. You're there advising the surgical team on how to use everything, what the next step is, making sure everything's prepped before they need it. So it's a pretty important part of the process. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you flip any houses before you left?
Yeah. I did my first one. I did all the work myself. Huge mistake. It was a total disaster. I think I might have broken even. I'm not sure. Learned a lot. and mainly learned to never do that again. So started getting some contractors, got a crew. At one point, I wouldn't say I was ever a huge flipper, but I had a crew of 6 guys, and then that only worked for me, and then a bunch of other subcontractors. So we were doing a fair amount. Kept some as rentals and sold the rest.
So you got that going on, and then when did you start to turn it up? Like when you quit, what did that look like? And how did you transition? How was the transition and knowing what to do once you transitioned out? I see a lot of people quit and they're like, well, what do I do with all this free time? Like you think you have all this time, but then you don't know what to put all that energy into.
Yeah, man. That's the tough thing about running your own business is that, the good thing is no one's telling you what to do. The bad thing is no one's telling you what to do. So, and when you're controlling your own schedule, if you're not super disciplined, you'll just be working 7 days a week. You'll be working late nights all the time. And so it's super easy to let that just get totally out of control. And so that's where, my background in personal development really helps, having that self-discipline and being able to set those boundaries for myself. And so, going into, 2 years in, I went full time, and then another year after that, I started to go bigger, and I went into some higher price properties. I went into a very big property. It was a luxury historic property, truly one of a kind. It was this old historic cobblestone building that we completely renovated. We gutted the whole thing. And that was the biggest mistake I ever made.
Where did you go wrong? What would you have done differently? I'm sure you've thought about this many, many, many nights.
Oh yeah. So that was, it was so unique of a property that it was really difficult to run comps. But we had a room full of really smart people that all thought, it's going to sell for this amount, and it's probably going to cost this much to put into it. And I'm going to take the blame. I don't like managing people, and I don't like managing contractors even more.
Yeah.
And so it's not a skill set of mine, managing contractors in particular. And I expect a lot. I move really quickly. I'm impatient. And so it's not a good combination for managing people. And so, I went in, and it's this massive job. We went way over budget. I mean, there were things we just didn't expect. There was a $25,000 asbestos bill. There was the windows in the house. In a historic property, we had to make them like they were original. So we had to do mahogany windows with original glass. And so there were, I think, either 24 or 28 windows in the house, and each one cost $3,000. So it started to add up pretty quickly. So
and that's something a lot of people should know about historic stuff is that isn't it like mandated by the city of like, here's what has to be done. Make sure you do it this way.
The town and the state, they can both determine what you do. And so I would say, if you haven't done a historic property before, you might not want to, because it's probably going to cost a lot more than you expect. I mean, I went through 7 months of just meetings with the town, with the historic preservation board, with the zoning board, just to get everything approved. Before we even started, I had to do all that.
And were you paying strokes that whole time?
What's that?
You were paying strokes to your lenders on that the whole time?
That was before I bought it.
Okay.
Yeah. Before I bought it, I had to go through that whole process. And I mean, I was doing meetings every other week with the town board, and I wrote up a document that was probably 350 pages to get everything through, and I got everything approved, but man, was it a lot of work. And so all that, I mean, after everything, put in so much more time and money than what we thought, and it sold for a lot less than we thought. I put $600,000 in renovation into that house, and
What
so
was your estimated? Like, what was your estimated repair compared to what you put it in, and what was the ARV compared to what it ended up selling at?
Yeah, so we thought it would cost about half as much to renovate it.
Okay.
And all in, I lost like $150,000 on that job. And that thing took me the whole year. It took me a whole year to do. And so, I was the whole time just stressed out, like these contractors, were they doing the right thing? Constantly having to go check up on the job. Like it wasn't a good fit for me. And that's why I haven't done a flip since then. But at that same time, the guy who did the windows for me, really skilled craftsman, amazing. I started a development company with him. We were going to be building new houses and holding a bunch of them for our own portfolio.
Uh-huh.
And so we started building some houses, and we had I think 7 employees at that time, and he was, let's say, not who I thought he was. And he ended up just running those crews into the ground, treating people like garbage, and completely mismanaging the jobs. And so that was at the same time while I was doing that big development job. And that company, we ran out of money because everything was just taking too long. People were quitting. We had to replace them. It was a disaster. Mid-build of someone's house, we ran out of money. In that we had just finished the framing. And we ran out of money.
So what'd you do with it? Like, what'd you do? Just sell it off?
We had no choice. I had to shut down the business. I had to lay off all the guys. I had to surrender all my equipment. I mean, we had big machinery. There was attorney. Thankfully there were no lawsuits, but there were pending lawsuits up until about 3 months ago. And just so there were huge attorney fees. So on that one, I lost another probably 180 grand on that one too. And so between those two things, talk about stress, man. The most stressful year of my life by far. They talk about being sick to your stomach. Like,
right.
I got an ulcer. I was going to the doctor. Like I wasn't sleeping. Like after all this happened, like if it weren't for my parents, I would have had to file bankruptcy. Like I had to sell my truck. We were selling stuff out of our house. I had to liquidate my 401k. It was really bad.
Wow. And so how did you end up paying back all this debt? Like, how did you structure it, right? With the lender on the first one, I'm guessing. Did you just tell them, like, hey, I'm going to pay you back eventually?
So I thankfully had borrowed money from my parents.
Okay.
And so I was able to pay off. I had some private money I was borrowing as well. So I was able to pay that off just with like literally my own money, not because I lost money from all the stuff that I had sold, my 401k. And I sold some of my rental properties to cover it too. And then thankfully, the rest was to my parents. If it wasn't to my parents, I would have had to file bankruptcy.
Oh,
because I went from before these 2 jobs started, I was in a great space. I had 6 figures in my checking account. We were doing great. I was making great money to suddenly nothing in there and 350 plus thousand in debt.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't even imagine the stress of that.
Dude, it was, I would never wish it upon anybody. But I can say that I learned more that year than I've ever learned.
Oh yeah. And what's going on? I don't know who this is. Wholesaling is a great way to get yourself out of debt, as Dan's going to talk to you about. Going back, what would you have done differently about the historic property? And then I want to talk about identifying that partner.
Yeah.
and what you would have done to just find out personality traits, maybe some rocket fuel stuff. Like if you had like two of the same people running the same thing,
Yep.
that's never good.
Yeah.
What have you done differently?
You know, it's so easy in real estate to get distracted by that shiny object. And because there's so many ways to make money in real estate and there's so much opportunity. And so you see these people doing one thing and you say, well, I can do that. I can try that. I know I can do that. And me, you know, I'm super ambitious. I'm always pushing hard. I'm always trying something new. And so I went from something where I was doing really well at with these, you know, first time home buyer type properties, flipping those, renting those out. I was doing really well at that. And then I was like, well, I want to do more. I want to go bigger. And so I started getting bigger. And as I did that, I got out of my element and I was dealing with problems that I didn't know how to handle anymore. And when you're dealing with more expensive real estate, your problems are going to cost you more. So if you make a mistake, it's going to cost you a lot more than it would on a smaller job. And so I wouldn't have taken on a job quite that big. Or if I had, I would have had someone else running the crew instead of me. Because I didn't have a construction background. And we literally rebuilt the entire house except for the cobblestone exterior. We reframed every floor, ceiling, and wall and rebuilt staircases, rebuilt literally everything. Gutted it down to the studs and rebuilt, even redid all the studs. So literally redid everything. And I didn't know much about that stuff. So I would say I took a really big swing, missed pretty big. So I would say, you know, yeah, take chances, but that was probably too big of a chance at that time without having the backup there. Because at that time, I was just having to rely on the contractors and my crew and making sure that they were telling me, I had to rely on what they were telling me and that it was the truth and that they were doing it the right way because I didn't know any difference. So probably gotten a better person to manage the job. And then for the partner, you know, I was blinded by his skill because he was an amazing craftsman, like literally could build anything. And I had seen his portfolio and he had done some amazing, like, truly incredible work. But you know what? That doesn't always carry over to being able to manage crews and manage people. It's like when a company takes a salesperson and promotes them to a manager, it doesn't mean they're going to do well in the manager's role.
Yep.
And so it was sort of like that. It is, you know, I overlooked some things because I thought, well, he's so good at building, you know, I don't know if I'm going to find anyone else like him that can do that stuff. So I overlooked some things I shouldn't have. And I wish I knew about predictive index back then.
Okay.
I use that for hiring for every position now.
What were the things you overlooked with the partner?
You know, just little things like you just get that gut feeling that something's off, and I would just sort of ignore it. And he would always have a way of explaining himself out of something. And
no ownership.
Sorry, cut out there.
You didn't take any ownership of anything?
No. That was sort of good, sort of bad that I retained 100% ownership, but then I also had 100% of the debt.
No, I was talking about him not taking ownership of his mistakes, but it is a good thing you had the ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. He just had a way of always, he lied a lot, and I didn't know that at first. But after some more research, I found out that he lied about a lot of things. And, you know, I would just say if you're ever have that gut feeling, trust your gut, because intuition is a pretty powerful thing. And I found that I was ignoring it for too long and listening to logic, and my logic was off.
Wow. And so you got that. Do you want to get back into any type of development now? Because that's where eventually I want to go. Obviously, bring on strategic people who know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
But I know do what I do best: find the deals, negotiate the deals, and then put everyone else in place.
Yeah. If I do, it'll be with a team in place and me as the business owner and not running the jobs. That's for sure. I don't have any plans of doing that right now. You know, when after all this happened, I was done with real estate. I was completely done. I said, you know what, this isn't worth it. Not going to put my family through this again. I need to get some stability, some I can't put my family through this kind of stress. You know, we had a 1-year-old daughter and my wife was, she's a stay-at-home mom. And so it's like, everyone's relying on me. Like, I can't put everyone through this again. I just need to provide some stability here. So after it was all over, I went back into the medical device field and I had no intentions of getting back into real estate. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get back into the medical device space, which is, again, great job. And that started up just at about a year ago, 1 year ago. And then everything was going great. They had created a new position just for me to come back to the company. Everything was going really well. And then COVID hit and everything shut down. And so, you know, we were going into surgeries and then suddenly every single one stopped and we had no more work. And I said, well, I can't do nothing. I have to do something. I have all this debt. I have to pay it off. I'm not just going to sit around and do nothing. Because he was still paying me a salary. My boss at the time, he was still paying me a salary, but I wasn't eligible for any commissions because there were no surgeries going on. And so I said, well, I have to do something. And I said, well, real estate, I know there's so much opportunity there. And I know there's still a ton of people that are doing really well in it. And wholesaling, the margins were always good for me, but I really didn't like it when I had done it before. It wasn't ever a good process for me or the sellers. And so I said, well, I need to try that again, but I need to find a different way to do it. And I need to learn from some people who are doing it really successfully and at a really high level. And so that's when I got into coaching and it changed everything.
That's so cool. And then were you with Steve's first? What was your first coaching?
Yeah. I started with Steve. That was, when did I start? Maybe around April. And I'm the kind of guy where if you show me how to do something, I'm going to run with it and I'm going to push it hard. And so with my background in personal development and just my ambition and my need to drive things hard, I took what I learned there combined with all my past sales experience and personal development experience. And man, my business blew up quick.
Right. I remember because I left Steve's right as you came in.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, man, I'm just getting started. Whatever you can help me with. And then a couple months later, like I'm running TV ads. I was like, what? I was like, that is a big nut to crack. Is what I think of, right? Because when TV ads, you know, if someone runs TV ads, they at least have enough revenue coming in to support that for 6 months.
Yep.
And so you grew insanely fast. And do you credit coaching mostly for it all?
I would say my background in personal development gave me the mindset and the coaching gave me the skill set.
Okay. All right. And so let's talk about when you got right back into wholesaling.
Yeah. You know, I went back to so I started throwing up bandit signs again. I started doing a little bit of direct mail, and then I started doing text message marketing as well. When I learned what everyone else was doing, I was like, all right, well, I got to get a VA because I need to leverage other people's time. And I know I can't grow this by myself. And so got some VAs, started scaling, just implementing all these different systems and just learning from the success of others. You know, I had done it my own way before and it was moderately successful, but I really didn't enjoy it that much. And So I said, all right, well, I can learn from what these other people are doing and they're doing it at a really high level. And so I just took what other people were doing really successfully and implemented that. And it just, I mean, it took off a lot faster than even I thought it was going to.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Doing TV ads and you're like 6 months into it is insane.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, really, so I had done it on and off a little bit for the past 5 years, never consistently. I never focused on wholesaling. It was like, all right, if I get one every other month, like that's fine. Like I'm not focusing on it at all. But now I've been doing it full time, just I think 7 months now, and we're consistently doing between 6 to 10 deals a month.
That is crazy. And so what does your business look like now? And what's going on, Anthony? A VA is a virtual assistant, generally in the Philippines, that handle a lot of administrative work for you. They'll make your life so easy. Well, not easy, but easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually right now working on putting together all our systems and processes into training portal where anything that's not in person, I'm going to try to put all that on VAs.
Yep.
And because it's their, Anthony, if you don't know about VAs, once you learn about them, they're going to be your best friend. Because if you get some good ones, they are going to work their butts off, probably a lot harder than anyone in the U.S. will, for the most part. They're easier to find because there's a bigger applicant pool. You can interview them just the same as you would someone here, and the price to value is insane. You don't have to pay any taxes or insurance or anything. It's just a straight dollar per hour type fee. It'll completely change your business. And I don't know a single really successful investor that doesn't use VAs.
No, not at all. Because they can take off people who, like we have a VA who handles payroll for us, right? Right. And I trust them with my money. Yep. And I have access to a lot of stuff, but then I don't have to pay a payroll person. I don't have to pay anyone in the States. And so that has been, VAs are absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
And so what type of marketing are you doing now? Obviously TV. And what made you choose TV?
Man, so like I was saying before, I do not like managing people. And so I wanted to get as lean an operation as I could and find marketing methods that required less people management. And so and there's also a big difference between outbound and inbound marketing. The conversation is just completely different. And so if you're calling someone, you're going to have a certain type of conversation, and you can still get tons of deals through cold marketing. Don't get me wrong. But when they're calling you, they're hot. They want to sell. They're not going to be angry. They're happy to talk to you. And so, we were doing text message marketing, and there's a fair amount of people management in that. You need people to be sending those texts and replying to those texts. And you need to maintain quality control on those and make sure that they're doing the right thing. And so I just wanted to get away from stuff that was really people management intensive and get to something leaner. And so for me, I spoke with Steve, and he knew some guys that were doing TV and radio, and spoke with them and learned about how successful it was for those guys. And, like I have done with a lot of things, I just decided to make the leap.
I love it. And I like the inbound. We don't do any inbound besides PPC.
Yeah.
But our PPC ones, like, they're ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
They're ready to go. We don't have any issues. Whereas with cold calling, you're at least 90 days on average.
Right.
Like most of these people are not ready to move forward. You're waiting, nurturing. They're talking to their aunt. Like, oh, I don't know, tenants there. Maybe they piss me off, I'll sell. But I do want to sell, just not yet. So you get all those issues to where if you have inbound marketing, I like it because it's right now money.
Yep.
Right. It's right now money, and you can supplement it once you get big enough with the cold calling that'll still bring in deal flow, texting that'll still bring in deal flow. Direct mail is like a year-long process, honestly.
Oh yeah.
To like wait it out, to have a big enough budget and robust enough budget to make it worth your while. Because I'm not a fan of it because it takes so long.
Right. Yeah. So I do direct mail too. And it is definitely a longer game. So you can't, whereas with texting or TV or any social media ads or anything like that, you can measure that on a much shorter scale for your ROI. When you're measuring your ROI for direct mail, you got to look at 6 months to a year, because people will hold on to a letter or a postcard for months before they call. They won't do that with the cold call or a text message or anything else. They'll completely forget about it. But with a letter, so I got a way of sending out real handwritten letters, and we send them out for less than 60 cents a piece, which is unheard of. And I mean, the response rates are through the roof, but people will hold on to those for quite a while. You know, we've been doing direct mail for a while, and I'll get a call sometimes a year later. Say, hey, you know, I got this a while back. I just held on to it. Wasn't ready to sell at the time, but now I am. And then you're there, and then you're the call. And so, yeah, very different type of marketing, but it's all about, you know, every single method of marketing works as long as you put enough into it and allow it a long enough time to really play out. Because people will say, oh, you know, I tried cold calling for 2 weeks. It didn't work. I didn't get any deals. It's like, well, all right, you got to give it a little longer, you know, let it work out the kinks, let it go, let it flow a little bit, get enough of a big enough sample size to really be able to analyze it.
Of course. And Anthony says, thanks. Go look him up. I think I have some videos on him. If you just look up how to find a VA into YouTube, you will find some great content. How to get your mail out so cheap, handwritten. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, Joel, appreciate you asking, man. So in just a few weeks, we're actually having a Christmas sale. So I'm actually showing people how to do that. And so it's a little video course that I put together. It's I'm gonna put it out for $297, and so people can cut their direct mail costs and just skyrocket their ROI. I mean, you can take it. I've done the math. If you're doing any sort of a letter which has more than double the response rate of a postcard, you'll get between 100 and I think it's 185 to 360% higher ROI with these handwritten letters at the cost that I'm putting them out at. And so that means 1.5 to 3.6 more deals than you're doing now at the same volume. So there's no other changes. You can put out 150 to 380% more mail pieces.
And so that's insane.
It's nuts, man.
And that's where you separate yourself in business, right? Because everybody can talk about top line. Like, I made $1 million this year, but they're operating at 10% profitability. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't care how much you made in revenue. Like, how profitable are you?
Yeah. So right now, we're operating at 80% profit margin.
Right? That's crazy.
So
that's insanely good.
Yeah.
That's insanely good, especially for real estate. We hear a bunch of people talk about, like, if you're scaled, you operate at 30%.
Right.
Like, that's what you shoot for, is 30%.
Yeah.
What's going on, Alex? Much levels. And let's circle it back to your self-development. And I remember us talking on the phone back when I first met you, and you were talking about how you talked to your grandpa and how he was talking about every successful person I know has gone through something like this.
Yeah. So actually, that was my uncle.
Okay.
But he said, yeah. So you were talking about rocket fuel. So the Gino Wickman, the traction books, the Rocket Fuel, Get a Grip, all those. So that's all on EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And so there's an actual organization. It's called EO. And so oddly enough, my uncle for 2 years was the global chairman of EO. And so to say he's known a fair amount of successful entrepreneurs, he knows a lot. And so he told me, I was talking to him when I was going through all these really tough times, because he had gone through similar stuff. And he said, I know a lot of successful people, a lot. And every single one I know has gone through something exactly like what you just described to me. And he said, I know it doesn't make it any easier, but just know that this is part of the process. And so, for anyone that's going through these tough times, getting through it, pushing through it, that is where success is. That's the difference between successful people and the people that never really achieve what they want to in life, because you will fail at something. It's guaranteed. You're going to have something catastrophic happen in your life. There's going to be major upsets and stress. You can't avoid it. The difference is are you willing to learn from it and push through it and not stop? And that's what's going to get you to where you want to go. That's what's going to make the personal changes to your mindset, to your skill set, to your circle of people that will get you to that next level. Because all those people that are beyond that failure, when you meet those people, they've gone through the same stuff and they can help you get to where you want to go. And so for anyone going through those tough times, especially right now, there's so many people who are out of work, who are struggling. They're dealing with family, their kids are at home, and now they had to change their work schedules. And there's a lot of difficult stuff going on in the world. And if you can embrace those challenges and find a way to learn from them and be better and grow from it, you're going to get to where you want to go, and you're going to be better as a person and just develop and really make that progress that is necessary to get where you really want to get.
That is so powerful, bro. So powerful. Do you think, what family-wise, what helped you get through it? Because that is so big. A lot of people, you have a lot of young guys who talk about being successful, and they're like, oh yeah, I work all the time. But I'm like, bro, if I work all the time, I'm a fucking failure. And like, I got my kid at home. I got my girlfriend I want to be with. I got my parents, family. Like, I got all these people I want to spend time with. If I'm grinding 24/7, I'm wasting my time.
Yep. Yeah,
and
man.
So, how did your wife help you get through that? I mean, I'm sure hugging your child makes everything better. Like, if I have a hard day, I go home and I hug my son.
Yeah. Yeah. So, during all that, if it weren't for my network, I don't know how I would have made it through all that, because and it wasn't even people helping me out financially or anything. No one gave me any extra money to pay stuff off or anything, but it was just, even the conversations with my uncle, like just learning about the experiences that other people had similar to mine and how they got through it and what they did and where they are now and what they learned from it. I knew that I could make it through. It didn't make it suck any less,
right?
But I knew I could make it through. And, now I can say more than ever, I've really learned the power of other people, because if I look at my circle of people that I hang out with now compared to what it was 2 years ago, man, it is drastically different. All the people I run with now, they're all millionaires, man. Yep. Like, most of them are doing really, really well. And the coaches I'm hiring, like, I never really hired coaches before. I spent at least 35 grand on coaches in the last 6 months.
Oh yeah. It's a must though. For me, it's a must.
You have to. It sounds like a lot up front, but what you're doing is learning from their years of experience and all their failures and successes and all their trials, and you're taking that several years of experience and condensing it down into a few months, and you can shorten your learning curve by that much, by several years. And so if you think about, okay, yeah, it's I just paid 25 grand. Okay, but what is that really going to give me? How much extra money can I make this year, next year, the year after that, because of this, that I wouldn't have made otherwise? How many mistakes can I avoid? How much stress can I avoid? How much of a better schedule can I have because my business is going to be better? And so it's all these things. It's, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so many people that are doing exactly what you want to do. You can learn from those people. You can pay to learn from them, whether it's through books, through courses, through mentorships and coaching. There's a million ways you can learn how to do what you want to do. And you have to be willing to pay for it, because you're either going to pay for it with your own time by doing it yourself, and maybe you'll get the result, maybe you won't, or you can actually pay money and get someone who's already done it you can learn from, and take that several year process or decade process down to a year or less.
And paying to be around those successful people just makes you more successful. Like, and it increases your network. Like, I met you through Steve's thing, and then every event I've paid for, I get my money back in just networking and then being around people who are successful people.
Absolutely. If you, just the people that they know that they'll introduce you to, and then you meet their friends and then their friends, and you just you change your entire circle. And you know, I'm sure you've heard you're the average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time.
Yep.
And so it's your income, it's your relationships, it's your personal development. So if all the people you're running with are running great businesses and they have great family lives and everything, you're going to pick up on those habits. Or if they're all a bunch of bums and they're just sitting around playing video games all day, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to be doing that too. And so I completely agree that even just paying to create that relationship will pay off.
It 100% will, because if everyone around you is making $1 million, like, oh shit, I didn't even think making $1 million was possible when I got started doing this, right?
Right.
I remember my goal was, I started a home inspection business. Like, I'll make $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be filthy fucking rich. And then you start getting around more and more people, and you see what type of things these people are doing, and like, I thought that was like not even real. Like, you don't even think it's a possibility. Mm-hmm. Then you start meeting some of these people who are killing it in everything, and not even real estate, just in business.
Yep.
And your mind starts to open up. You're like, oh wow, I can do this.
Oh yeah,
wow, I can do this. I can do that.
Yep. Yeah, you raise your bar, and they help you do that because you see what everyone else is doing, and you know it's possible because you're seeing evidence of it. 100%.
That's people management. I think your grandpa said, what are the top 3 self-development books for you, or courses?
I got a few hundred books over here. Man. So The Success Principles by Jack Canfield is phenomenal. I love that book. Really, any of Tony Robbins' books. He's probably my favorite personal development guy of all time. I pretty much grew up with him. My dad used to own a Tony Robbins franchise. So I have this picture of Tony holding me up when I was like 2, and I just had the biggest smile on my face. Yeah. My dad actually he won, like, I don't know, franchisee of the year or something, and he and my mom won a week trip to Fiji with Tony. Back then.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So I've been a big fan of Tony Robbins for quite a while. And then really, let's say for business, traction, like anything by Gino Wickman, or or Scaling Up. Who's that by?
Yeah, Vern Harnish. That one's a really good one.
Harnish. Yeah, Vern Harnish. He's an EO guy too. any of those, like for people that are looking to create a real business instead of just a hobby or something that they're running by the seat of their pants, like those things are key, because it'll show you how to design your business, how to run your meetings, how to get the people in place that you need to get it, and that stuff you can't scale without it. You can't create a business without it. You can have a job without it, but I don't want a job. I'm here to create a business.
I don't want to work, man. I want to spend time with my kid.
Right.
You know, like working to me is just being on the phone, talking to my friends, putting business deals together.
Right.
Right. But I still want to be with my son, be with my family, and enjoy myself. I don't want to be slaving away until 9:00 p.m., kiss my son goodnight, wake up, do it all over again.
Yeah.
Because of the grind.
Right.
I'm about working hard, but I'm building something for a better life. And most people I talk to are the same way.
Absolutely.
One thing that I think we have in common is entrepreneurial parents. Both my mother owns a adoption agency that's grown to be pretty large that I didn't even know about until I complained to her about my overhead. Then she told me her overhead, and I was like, oh, damn. And my dad owns an electrical company. How has your parents being entrepreneurs influenced you and helped you?
Man, so, I mean, my dad gave me Tony Robbins, the Personal Power 2 CD set, a 30-day program when I was in high school. And since I was maybe, I don't know, 14 or 15, and that just opened my mind up to, we really have control, and it's not easy, but it's possible. And that alone, I mean, I've listened to that, the whole thing. I mean, it's a 30-day program. I mean, I've listened to it at least 15 times. I know that for sure. Ever since then, it instilled in me the personal development drive, just the drive to get better. And, we had a gym in our basement too, growing up. Like, I've always had a gym in my basement, a full gym. And so I always just worked out. And so there's always that level of discipline. Like, this is what I'm doing. It's probably going to suck, but it's worth it. And here's why. And so, I approach my businesses the same way. It's like, yeah, when you first start, it's going to suck. It's going to hurt. You're going to want to stop, but you push through the pain, and then you get the results. And then as long as you keep doing things consistently and you keep pushing harder, and you get people around you that are pushing hard too, that's when you get real momentum. And so, growing up, I had that stuff. And, that's where, like, sports and working out at a younger age, like, it really gives you a mindset. And that, coupled with the personal development stuff, like, that's made all the difference. I would be a completely different person without that stuff.
Oh yeah. Sports helped show me, because I fucking sucked. As a kid in high school, I started working really hard. I got good, but then again, I didn't get any scholarships coming out of high school except to a junior college. Mm-hmm. And then I had to work, and legit the same thing. I do sports every day. I develop new skills to get better, to compete, be all conference, be all American, whatever it is. But I just see it as the same way, to where, okay, I'm working on my corner skills for the next 6 months so I can be the best, so I can get a scholarship here. And It's no different if you apply it. It's hard to know why you're working hard if you've never seen what hard work rewards you with.
Right.
I think sports shows you, if you work hard and develop a skill, then you'll get X in return. Mm-hmm. And I love sports for that aspect.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Any parting words? This has been an amazing podcast. One of my favorites so far.
Yeah, guys.
And where can people find out about you? Promo codes, everything like that.
Yeah. So Instagram handle @ActionDanBro, and I spell it BRO because if I spelled it the way it's actually spelled, BRAULT, everyone would say Action Dan Brault. So it's Action Dan Bro. Link in my bio on Instagram. There's you can find all my links there. Course is going to be coming out soon, along with some other ones. Doing some big things, really big things in 2021, and just here to help people out and help people through the tough times that, everyone faces. And, I want to help people to get through that and get to the next level, because I love doing that. I love sharing my experiences and just getting people elevated and on track to where they want to go. So if you guys want help with that, reach out to me.
Awesome. Best place to reach out to is Instagram, correct?
Yeah, man. Instagram at ActionDanBro.
And if you guys are looking for any cold callers or skip tracing, cold callers is callmagicians.com. Skip tracing is rocketskiptracing.com. Thank you so much for coming on, man. You guys
Thanks,
have a
man.
great day.